Welcome to Speak for Yourself, Marcellus Wiley. Oh, Manuel Alcho, where you at? Man, got a chair for my dog. All right, he's out today, but we're going to keep it moving with a huge game right here in L.A. Tom Brady is set to play in his first NFL game in L.A. when his defending champion Bucs take on Matthew Stafford's 2-0 Rams in America's Game of the Week Sunday on Fox. It's looking like it can go either way, with Tampa favored by just 1.5 points, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook. Brady said Thursday it's a big game for both teams, adding, quote, "Everything about this week is challenging," just like me trying to find which camera to speak to. All right, joined now by Bucky Brooks and Slick Rick the Bucher. So, Slick, are the Rams the biggest threat to the Bucs in the NFC?
No, Marcellus, they are not the biggest threat to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the biggest threat to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, most specifically their pass defense right now. Now, look, I know where you guys are probably going to go with this. It's early. They're the defending champs. You're going to have a little complacency coming out the door. What's the big deal? But it's in large part a compliment to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because I don't really see a definitive challenger out there short of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being less than they were the last time we saw them winning a Super Bowl. And the pass defense, make no mistake, considering they played the Cowboys and the Falcons, this has not been a good pass defense. They're not getting pressure on the quarterback. They've only got 2 sacks through 2 weeks. They've given up the most pass completions by far. They've given up the most yards after catch by far. They've given up the most first down. So if I'm picking nits, if I'm reason to doubt that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are coming out of the NFC, it isn't because of the Los Angeles Rams. It's because, in part, what I've seen from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after 2 weeks.
Oh, Slick, you're off to a slow start. I didn't know I was going to get the philosophical version of you to Slick. I wanted the real version of Slick Rick the Bucher. I've never lost a game to myself. I've never lost a game with a team to ourselves. Like, we never went out there and said, "Coach, nobody's here." He's like, "We still lost." That doesn't happen in the NFL. You need an opponent. And there is an opponent, a formidable opponent out there by the name of the Los Angeles Rams. The biggest threat to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC is the team that they're going to face this weekend. Don't forget, last year they played each other. And according to the transactions at quarterback, it looks like they played last year with one arm tied behind their back. And that arm was called Jared Goff because there were some issues, some rumblings, and obviously a lower ceiling when it comes to Jared Goff versus Matthew Stafford. Enter Matthew Stafford. Now, I'm not going to sit here and make this proclamation they have to win in week 3 or else the Rams are doomed. But at the same time, if you beat a team with a lesser quarterback, there is going to be the expectation that you can beat that same team, a Super Bowl championship team, with a better quarterback. So that's what Matthew Stafford is facing. That's what these Rams are facing. Now, who are they facing? They're facing the Tampa Bay Bucs, Super Bowl champions that just got better. Now, not in totality, as you pointed out, Slick, pass defense is looking a little suspect compared to last year's run. But in totality, look at this team. They have went 9 consecutive games with 30 points or more. They are lighting up the scoreboard. And that's going to be the issue for the Rams that are not the same on defense as they were last year. Obviously, losing your defensive coordinator matters because they're not the same defense, even though a damn good defense. So you add all that up, Tampa Bay Buccaneers looking like they're an improved version on their championship run, but also the team that stopped them last year looks like an improved version themselves.
Yeah, I'm with you, Marcellus. I believe the Rams are the biggest threat. They're the biggest threat because I believe Sean McVay and Les Snead have been looking at the NBA, and they built this team much like an NBA team. In fact, they kind of remind me of the Brooklyn Nets because their 3 stars are legitimate top 5 players at their respective positions. Matthew Stafford, Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald. And because those 3 stars, when healthy, they can line up and go toe-to-toe with anybody. We have seen it early in the year. This team is explosive. They're dynamic. They are terrific on both sides of the ball. Matthew Stafford has given this offense a vertical element that didn't exist with Jared Goff. You've seen Cooper Kupp make big plays down the field. Van Jefferson. We've also seen Robert Woods get involved in the mix. The running game is coming together with Sony Michel, Darrell Henderson, some of these other guys. But defensively is where they're going to make their calling card. It's about Aaron Donald being able to create pressure up front, Jalen Ramsey being able to snuff out your number one option, and then them playing great defense. Even though it's different, Raheem Morris calling the calls as opposed to Brandon Staley, this team is terrific. The only challenger right now that I see in the NFC are the Rams because they're talented enough to do so.
You know, you guys didn't think you were going to get the philosophical Bucher today.
No.
I didn't know I was going to get the presumptive Bucky Brooks and Marcellus Wiley today.
Whatever.
Because we have not seen Matt Stafford at the time that we're talking about. We're not talking about this Sunday. We're not talking about regular season. We're not talking about the Rams beating the Bucs during the regular season and then, well, if you traded out Goff from Stafford, then obviously they're going to be better in the playoffs. Really? How do we know they're going to be better in the playoffs? How do we know what Matt Stafford is as a playoff quarterback? I don't have anything to go on there. And that is my biggest issue here is because that's the linchpin. That's ultimately is the difference maker for the Los Angeles Rams. And Matt Stafford, as good as he's looked to this point, and I'd say he's looked good. He hasn't looked great. Love the chemistry that he has with Kupp. There's another level that he has to go to that he's never been asked to go to before.
Even that.
And if he doesn't go to that level, then ultimately everything we're talking about goes by the wayside. So that's what I need to see. And really, we're not going to get that answer. That's why I went philosophical. Because we're not going to get that answer this weekend. We're not going to get it during the regular season. We're really not going to find out what the Los Angeles Rams are until we get to the playoffs, because that's when we're going to find out who Matt Stafford really is.
Oh, man, Slick, goodness, it's hard in your household. You're one of those people that say since you haven't done something, you can't do something. I'm not that person. I'm the person that says Matthew Stafford is certainly up for the challenge when you surround him with the proper pieces. Has he ever been in this position?
Top 5 quarterback, as Bucky said? Are you with that?
Oh, no,
Top
no,
5
no.
quarterback?
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I'm not in his
I'm
house
with that.
either. That's too much. Bucky over there having ice cream for breakfast. That's too much. I'm not that far gone. I'm just saying I am not going to condemn Matthew Stafford for the lows and the woes of the Detroit Lions in that organization. I'm going to say I'm going to extract Matthew Stafford from that circumstance and put him somewhere with better resources, and all of a sudden, let's watch him prosper. That's him with the L.A. Rams. Woo! This is going to be a good matchup. We already know this is going to be a good matchup this weekend here in SoFi. But let's talk about the projection of what they could look like even in a playoff setting. The Rams are going to go out there, and they're playing smart football. Now, we haven't seen the best of Matthew Stafford. We saw some glimpses of it in week 1. Week 2, not so much. But this team is second in the NFL, and this is a good second, in terms of penalties, second in terms of sacks allowed. You look at them in the red zone, they are second as well. So there's some things that Matthew Stafford has already done to a Rams offense. Remember, every year under Jared Goff, they were in decline in terms of production. Now, Matthew Stafford not only has stopped the bleeding, but has started to restore some of the things that Sean McVay wants to do. You look at him on the offensive side of the ball, it's all positive, top 5 in points scored, everything. It's the defensive side of the ball where you start to scratch your head and say, not the same Rams team as last year. Rams 25th in rushing offense, rushing defense is 20th. 26th in defense on third down, getting off the field. You do not want to stay on the field against Tom Brady. So the projection going forward is simply, can Matthew Stafford be better than Jared Goff? Most would say as soon as he runs out the tunnel, yes. But more than that, can they play smart football, balanced football, effective, efficient football? Because Tom Brady and the Buccaneers certainly going to do that. My answer to that is yes, because Matthew Stafford is now an L.A. Ram, not a Detroit Lion.
Well, I mean, I'd never want to go out to eat with Rick because Rick evidently doesn't have appetizers before we have dinner because this is a preview for what we're going to see in the playoffs.
Yes.
This is a great opportunity for us to see what the Rams are really all about. And even though we can call it a regular season game, this is going to have playoff intensity because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers know that they may very well face the Rams down the line. And before you guys start disparaging Matthew Stafford, I want to leave you with this. Matthew Stafford was brought to the Rams to be the closer. And being the closer, they just need him to, in the fourth quarter, close out games in which they may be behind. Since 2009, Matthew Stafford has 31 fourth-quarter comebacks, only behind Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger. So we can sit here and talk about his playoff record, but history says in the fourth quarter, if you need him, he's going to show up and deliver. That's why the Rams are a threat to the Bucs, because they know they got a guy that can put them on their back if they need be.
He also might help you fall behind so he can make that comeback. I mean, that's got to be part of it, right? Is that look, here's the other part. And you guys have actually provided it, because this is my question. And it's not just Matt Stafford. I have questions about the Rams overall. Marcellus brought it up. Like, where is their defense? I know what they're capable of. I know what some of the names are, but they haven't demonstrated that to this point. They haven't been a defensive juggernaut to this point. And the run game, Bucky, I love it. Clearly you right, because you are very nuanced with your words. The running game is coming along. Yeah, it's coming along, but it still has a ways to go.
Long way.
So when I put it all together, look, Matt Stafford is an unknown. The running game, kind of an unknown, okay? And the defense, exactly where is it right now? When I put all that together, it's not like the Rams can't be the most formidable team that they face. But if you're asking me the question right now, I need to know and see more before I can give them and put them in that pole position against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So until I see that, it's really what I've seen from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that makes me question in terms of their ability to ultimately get back to the Super Bowl.
Slick, you can't try to prove a point so much that you actually go to the absolute and say that Matthew Stafford's an unknown. Like, we can't do that. We know about Matthew Stafford. The Rams gave up resources for Matthew Stafford, and it wasn't just to go out there and look good for the first 17 weeks. It was for what Bucky said, for them to put the cherry on top finally, because they have a greater quarterback at the most important position. And so far, you even said it, Slick, he's looked good to great, but not great consistently, correct? But he's still right now on a career-high pace in completion percentage, in passing yards per attempt, and in passer rating. His passer rating is 127, and we sitting here, at least you, Slick, talking about, hey, he looking all right right now. All right, if he looks all right now, imagine when he scratches the ceiling in terms of his true potential. The offense is clicking. We see that. Now, it's about the defensive side of the ball getting adjusted to new play calling, because they have the dogs on that side of the ball. You add it all up, this is not the week, as Bucky said, for us to go out there and say, oh, man, this is the entree. We about to grub. This is the appetizer. This is the broccolini, as they bring out. And you're sitting there like, okay, this is cool. And you're waiting to see, as a litmus test, how do you match up with the champions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because Tom Brady over there acting a donkey himself. 9 touchdown passes already, only second to Patrick Mahomes after 2 weeks all time. So you look at this situation, this is going to be a great balancing act to see where you are compared to them. But if you fall short, it's okay, because at the most important position, you guys have taken care of business.
Yeah, Marcellus, this is a fact-finding mission for the LA Rams. This is an opportunity for them to use the Buccaneers as a measuring stick to see exactly where they are and where they need to improve and get better. Much like the Buccaneers used their game against the Chiefs last year to help them in the Super Bowl. And so it's about gathering information, getting that intel on tape, being able to take the information that they get to build a nice scouting report. So when they do eventually face again, maybe in the NFC Championship game, the Rams are better prepared to knock the Buccaneers off. It might be knocking them off for the second time, or it may be rematching it and running it back the right way. But either way, this is a great test for the Rams, because they are the biggest threat, and they know that this is a team that they're going to face and that they have to face to get to the other side of the NFC title game. So that's why this is a big game for them, as one in which I expect them to win, if we're going to predict.
That's what you get up here in L.A. talking bad about my boys out there. I knew Slick wasn't ready for it. The philosophical Slick ain't paid his Wi-Fi. See? We need the real Slick to come up here, boost mobile head, get you right. Coming up, Aaron Rodgers has had a lot to say this week. Smoke that dude. I'll tell you if I'm worried about his Packers against the Niners. But first, Zeke being called out. Damn, but he laughed it off. Okay. I'll tell you if it's fair to question why he's the starter in Dallas. Next on Speak for Yourself.
Let's head to Dallas, where Ezekiel Elliott is the starter, but he has less rushing yards with more carries in the first 2 games than his backup, Tony Pollard. Zeke is making $15 million a year, and he was asked Thursday if his huge salary is playing a part in him starting. Take a listen.
You hear it, but what really matters is what's going on in this building. So, I mean, they're not the ones signing the checks. They're not the ones sitting the wires. So, I mean, I don't think it matters.
All right, Marcellus. So, is it fair to question why Zeke is starting for the Cowboys?
Oh, it's fair, man. And Zeke trying to laugh it off, but you can't laugh at this pain. And we don't think this is that funny, Zeke. Oh, man, we got to go here, y'all. Bucky, you're a former player in the league, so I think you're going to feel this as even much as Slick Rick may know this from his years being around all the leagues. Let's start here. Your backup can never have better stats than you. Like, that's like almost like a golden rule. Like, in any sports, any league, your backup can't outperform you. 1, because we know you're going to get more opportunities as a starter. But 2, in his fewer opportunities, he shouldn't shine brighter than you. Not just because of how much you get paid, not because of how much they're wiring Zeke. It's just because you're the starter. And no way should that guy be in front of you. But the other rule is, I got to go to my boy Ice Cube. How to survive in South Central. Rule number 1, don't trust nobody. Okay, he had other rules, right? I can't say I'm on television. But here's a rule. Whenever you go money in the locker room, we joking on each other. I'm bagging on your suit. You bagging on my shoes. I'm bagging on how you play. You bagging on my girl. Whenever you go money, that guy lost. Because that guy knows he has nothing else to talk about except how much he got paid for what he used to do, not what he's doing right now. Every time I saw us playing the dozens in the locker room, as soon as the vet looks at the rookie who was roasting him and say, oh, but I got more money than you, it's a wrap. Zeke, it's a wrap. We don't believe you when you start going to money place. Anybody, this is going to be some trivia. Anybody know any other starters where their backups are outperforming them? When the 4th pick overall is getting beat out by the 4th rounder? Anybody know any of that stuff? Or does anyone know any other running back in NFL history that has declined every single year consecutively for 5 straight years? No one does. You know why? Because it's the NFL record in terms of his production declining every single year. So I feel you, Zeke. You're trying to laugh at your pain, but this one hurts too much, big dog. You shouldn't be get outshined by your backup.
Yes, agree with you, Marcellus. It's absolutely fair to question why Zeke remains the starter, because it's not just rushing here. It's overall production between the two of them. And Tony Pollard is doing it with actually fewer touches, fewer involvement in both parts of the game. He's being uber efficient when it comes to his touches rushing, but he's also doing an outstanding job receiving the ball. Now, it's fair to question it because of the numbers, but I also understand why this might be happening. And it's not to do as much with Zeke's money as it has to do with Zeke's mindset. I believe that the Cowboys look at this combination and question, what's Zeke going to be like? How focused is he going to be? What's the effect that is going to be on him if he ends up being the backup? And they don't have that concern with Tony Pollard, because Tony Pollard was a 2-star recruit in high school. Tony Pollard went to the University of Memphis. Tony Pollard was a 4th-round pick. Tony Pollard started out as a DB and a wide receiver. They know that Tony Pollard loves the fact that he is where he is, and they're not going to have an issue with him if he's the backup, even though he's more productive than Zeke. So I understand why they're doing what they're doing, but it is absolutely fair to question it. And the only reason that they're doing it the way they're doing it is because Tony Pollard isn't ready and willing to question it.
Man, you guys are up here just giving away jobs. Like, we just giving away starting positions because people have a good game or two. So here it is. Look, you kind of made the argument for me. I like Tony Pollard, but you just sat and talked about two-star recruit. He couldn't find a position, wide receiver, DB, trying to figure out name plays, running back. He's a fourth-round pick. He goes to the Dallas Cowboys. He's having some success this year, but he's also a guy with 3 100-yard games, but he's never been able to do it back-to-back. One of the things about being the starter, particularly when you're a star, is the consistency over time. Can you, over the long haul, continue to deliver big-time performance and production when you're Ezekiel Elliott? So naturally, Marcellus going to follow me. He's talking about, well, Ezekiel Elliott hasn't had a 100-yard game in 19 games because Dak Prescott wasn't there. However, he's a 2-time rushing champ. And when you really look at how they're deploying both guys, Ezekiel Elliott is doing the dirty work in between the tackles. Tony Pollard is running outside and away from everybody on the edges. And it's working because it's complementary ball in a backfield situation. So, no, you don't give away Ezekiel Elliott's job. You continue to use Tony Pollard as a complement, a change of pace. Because remember, this is a longer season. And since Marcellus like to reference rappers, it's a marathon, homie, like Nip was saying.
Rest in peace, Nip. I give you that, Bucky, but if we didn't do a good enough job trying to give away Zeke's job, you did. You just gave me some ammunition and helping me. Like, golly. Hold on. If I'm Jerry Jones, you know I know Jerry because he gave me some of his money before, and that was a bad investment. And he's doing another bad investment and keep giving Zeke this money. But let's just start here. The money's already gone for this year, right? Money gone. Zeke's going to make his money because he's on the roster. He's Zeke. Gotcha. So let's see if Tony Pollard can really be the guy. He could be that bell cow out there. He can go back-to-back games and be successful. Let's see, because the money's already gone. Now it's about us seeing what direction we're going to go in. That's a point for me. Thank you, Bucky. Here's another point for me. Stop with this narrative that they call in different plays for Pollard than they are for Zeke. You a lie. You a lie. Let me tell you, I went to the game, so that ain't going to help me more because you can see it better at home. I get it. On television, y'all got replays. We don't in live person. But I know this. They were calling the same zone read plays. And you know the difference? Because I played running back, Bucky. Even my senior year in college, I was a damn D1 running back. It's your boy. Here we go. They call zone plays and zone reads. When you trust your blocking, when you trust your skills, when you still have that burst, you stay front side. And that's what Tony Pollard does. He stays front side and he bounces out. You know what Zeke does? And y'all can watch it because I know as soon as I say it, y'all be like, damn, he right. Zeke gets the ball, one cut, always cut back, and then attacks 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That's what's happening. You know why? He doesn't trust the blocking, even though it's there. But more importantly, he doesn't trust his skill set right now for whatever reason. Tony Pollard is the one that is the hungrier running back. Zeke always saying, feed me, feed me. Why feed you? Pollard looks hungrier than you. We need to feed the guy who wants the ball and who's going to actually do something with the ball. So, Bucky, here's my last little supporting stat of all the ammunition you gave me. With 8 or more in the box, a lot of people come up to me, especially those drunk people at the game, hey, Pollard should be starting. And I know he should, but that's not how it goes. 8 or more defenders in the box, because all the Zeke lovers out there is like, oh, they stack the box when they see Zeke. Zeke had the box stacked 18% of the time. Tony Pollard had the box stacked 16% of the time. Well, y'all stop. They calling the same plays. They got the same amount of defenders in the box. And more importantly, it's the same offensive lineman blocking. But somehow the results are different for Pollard than they are for Zeke.
See, I've seen this before, Marcellus, and I'm going to say it because I'm going to make it very, very personal for you so you can relate to it. Like, I've seen a young Marcellus Wiley come into the league, very hungry and ambitious, wanting to get on the field and be a guy that can be a rotational player that ascends to be a starter. But there's a guy there that's in front of him that's a Hall of Fame caliber player who's a pass rusher who might be on the decline a little bit. So what they do is Bruce Smith continues to run out there because he's been on the daily Stairmaster regimen, still getting it in because he still can give you a flash every now and then. The young, hungry, ambitious Marcellus Wiley is running wild and out of control. Every now and then he might fall into a sack. But because it's about trust and communication, they trust Ezekiel Elliott a little more, particularly when it comes to the big thing. Because now, remember, the Cowboys' construction of their offense has changed. When Dak Prescott became the $40 million quarterback, the number one thing that you have to do is protect Dak Prescott. Ezekiel Elliott is arguably the best pass protector at the running back position in football. So we can clown him about his $15 million and what he's making as a runner, but the reason why he's in there is to protect Dak Prescott. Tony Pollard ain't trying to stick his nose up in there, hit them linebackers. That's why he's a change of pace guy that comes in. And when he's in, he gets it, but he ain't in there trying to protect the king, which is Dak Prescott.
We are paying $15 million now for a pass protector.
Hey, man, it's cost. It's the cost.
Mike is 51. 51 Mike. 15 million.
Bucky, you've neatly evaded the question. You're giving us all the reasons why Ezekiel Elliott is starting for the Dallas Cowboys, but you have not answered the question.
You can't.
Is it fair to question whether he is starting? And don't give me this like Tony Pollard just came on the scene in the last 2 weeks. It's not as if Tony Pollard wasn't good last year, arguably the better, maybe not even arguably, definitively the better running back last year. So this idea that this is, well, you know, it's early and we don't know what we're going to get from Tony Pollard, I'm going to push back on that. I understand why they're doing it, I believe, and it is the mentality of Zeke. I don't, out there laughing about the 15 million, like I don't have a care in the world, that concerns me a little bit. Like, dog, you're getting outperformed by your backup. You shouldn't be laughing about, hey, the check shows up every 2 weeks. I would like to see a guy who's, hey, I need to do more in order to demonstrate. But there's a reason they're paying me, and I'm going to show you.
Man, you guys are acting like this is a dance team, but Zeke and Tony Pollard are having a dance-off. It's a team sport. I looked at the game against the Chargers. They ran for almost 200 rushing yards because they collectively took turns pounding the interior of that defense. Why can't we celebrate the fact that they have two good running backs that are really giving people problems, and that is what the coaches determine? Hey, you know what? Rather than give Zeke all of these carries, why don't we take a page from the NBA and do a little load management for our star players? So down the stretch, when we revisit this conversation in week 12, 13, and 14, when Zeke is fresh and running through defenses, it's because they didn't burn up all his calories at the first part of the year. They saved him to when you really need him down the stretch.
Bucky, what? Like, I'm not saying that Tony Pollard should get all the carries. I'm just saying you can split the load and have Zeke coming off the bench and split the load.
Oh, that's so disrespectful.
Why? Wouldn't that keep Zeke? Wouldn't that actually keep Zeke more fresh? I mean, he is carrying the bulk, right? He is. He has the bulk. So if we're going to keep him fresh for later, not sure why we're keeping him fresh, but if we're going to keep him fresh for later, it would make more sense that he would have fewer carries and we'd bring him off the bench. I don't know. That's just how my thinking goes. But Buck, you might have a different approach to this.
I feel like I'm watching a press conference at OKC, and Zeke is Carmelo Anthony, and y'all are like, hey, man, are y'all going to be a six man? And he turns to Paul George and is like, hey, P, they talking about me being a six man. Zeke Elliott is not coming off the bench. He's not coming off the bench. He's either starting or you cut him. You don't use Zeke Elliott off the bench. That's the only way
you going Cam Newton?
No.
Don't do a Cam on him, man.
That's what I was saying.
See, Cam over there doing videos at high schools with his daddy talking about, they ain't have to cut me. I'm good. They felt uncomfortable. Not me. I'm good being a backup. Let me get that check. Don't do that to Zeke. Zeke is not a backup in our league, but right now he's not a starter on the Cowboys. I don't know what the hell else to say about this. Look, he's right now on pace to have a career low in rushing yards per game and his rushing average. Come on, man. 4 of the last 5 games, forget 100 yards. We haven't seen Zeke get over 75 yards. Man, this is a new low standard for a $15 million a year running back who can pass protect. Man, you better get out my face. Get out of here. You know what's so funny about this, Bucky? Because you know, Slick, you know. There are no coincidences when it comes to personnel and when it comes to the rotation of a lineup. So I remember the days when, like Bucky, you said, man, I wouldn't come out the game for any situation. Wiley got it. We don't care. We'll take 50% of Wiley versus his backup. But then it got to a point where they'd be like, hey, Wiley, no, chill, dog, chill. We're going to go let the young pup get a rep or two right now. That wasn't by coincidence. This is also not by coincidence. Week 1, Tony Pollard, 7 touches. Week 2, Tony Pollard, 16 touches. Ain't no coincidences, man. They trying to leak it to Zeke, the news. And it's going to be breaking news because it's going to break his heart that Zeke, you're going to find yourself getting fewer touches. Even though you're out there for the ceremonial first play of the game, you're the starter. Who going to get all these touches? Finally, Bucky, I got to do this because you try to come at me and Bruce Smith. First of all, Bruce Smith is pops. Bruce Smith is the greatest defensive end all time. #1 in sacks all time. And #1 in tackles all time for all defensive linemen. Y'all didn't know that. Here we go, though. They made a good decision, not mistake, on letting Bruce go, even though I thought it was a dumb decision. Let me give it to you like this. I come into the league rookie year. Bruce had 14 sacks my rookie year. I had donut. Second year, I had 3.5. Bruce had 10. Third year, I had 5. Bruce had 7. Now, you know what they did? They started looking at how much is Bruce making? And how much is Marcellus making on that rookie deal? And then they came to a calculation. We gonna let the greatest DN ever, that's more than Zeke at the running back position, ever go because of the finances, and let that young pup go because that young pup is doing okay, comparable. Next year, I got 10.5 sacks. Good investment for the Buffalo Bills, but it was a hard decision. I thought it was a dumb decision, but they did the hard thing. Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones right now, y'all got a tough choice as well. You got a young, cheap pup who is doing better than the expensive pass protector. I don't know, Jerry Jones. I thought you were smarter with your money. But then again, you did give me a contract, huh, Buck?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's a nice story, and I appreciate all that. It took you 4 years to overtake Bruce Smith in doing that. So what I'm saying, I think Tony Pollard's in year 3. So we got another year before Tony Pollard can get what you got, and which is being grandfathered into the program.
No, Bucky, I didn't outperform Bruce before. Pollard's already outperforming Zeke. So if that was going to be analogous, it's about when you outperform the starter. I didn't outperform Bruce until Bruce was gone. This situation, he already outperformed him. And making $850,000 at it, boy, stop. Coming up, Aaron Rodgers got a lot off his chest this week. But I'll tell you if I'm worried about his Packers heading in to play the 49ers. That's next on Speak for Yourself. 15 tomorrow. Come join Fox's big noon kickoff at Soldier Field in Chicago for the biggest pregame party of the weekend. There'll be live music, ticket giveaways, and so much more. Be a part of the live TV audience at the Gray Lawn on the east side of Soldier Field tomorrow, 9 Eastern. So, Bucky, number 12 Notre Dame against number 18 Wisconsin. How excited are you for this big matchup?
Really excited. You guys need to keep your eye on Notre Dame safety Kyle Hamilton, number 14, 6'4", 220 pounds, top 10 pick in next year's draft. He is a stud. Keep your eyes on him when you watch tomorrow.
All right. Any running backs that are great at pass protection? No? Any of that? Okay. Let's get back to the NFL where Aaron Rodgers has had quite a week. He threw 4 touchdown passes in Monday night's win. Then he clapped back at critics who questioned his commitment, saying he would not have came back if he was not 100% committed. Y'all hear that? Next up for his Packers is a road game against the undefeated 49ers on Sunday night. So, Slick, Bay Area's finest, are you worried about the Packers heading into their matchup against the 49ers?
I'm worried about the Packers. I'm not worried about Aaron Rodgers. I'm not worried about his mindset when it comes to this weekend or anything to that effect, simply because of everything that he's said and everything that's transpired over the week. I do have concerns about the Packers. I do have concerns about that young offensive line playing away from home in a hostile environment for the first time, and the fact that they might have to go on silent counts. I'm a little concerned about the passing offense in spite of what they did against the Lions, because they really didn't get it going until the second half when they were playing against the third-string DBs. So there's a lot of things that concern me about the Packers and where they are collectively as a team. And that leads me to the mindset, not of Aaron Rodgers, but the team's mindset when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. Because with the belief or the feeling that he has one foot out the door and all that he expressed about not feeling fully confident with this team and wanting to have a say in personnel, I believe that's what inspired it all. It concerns me that if this Green Bay team continues to struggle or go sideways or has a couple of very disappointing losses early on, then that whole mindset of Aaron Rodgers having one foot potentially out the door is going to affect that locker room. We've talked about it before. I don't think that that issue has been resolved just because they beat the Detroit Lions. And so with every setback that they potentially have, I think it rears it. But it's not about Aaron Rodgers and his approach. I think he's going to be Aaron Rodgers. It's a matter of how that rest of the team responds to any struggles that they might have.
Yeah, I'm with you in terms of Aaron Rodgers. I am not worried about him. He is a responder, especially to the adversity that's posed to him year in and year out. We saw it this year. First game, everybody's like, oh, my God, the sky's falling. And in the second game, you saw the end result, and you realize, oh, Aaron Rodgers can recover. And he had a worse game last year against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Everybody said, oh, my God, Aaron Rodgers, what's going to happen to you guys? Find themselves in the NFC Championship game with an opportunity to win that game and becomes the MVP. He's a responder. But the thing about it is through osmosis, not everyone responds the same in the team game, especially. I always go on record and say the greatest ability is ability. People always say availability. I'm like, nah, you ain't going to be available if you ain't got ability. Like all y'all who got these little kids out there, 9 years old, and look at little Johnny run. If you little, Johnny going to be little, Johnny ain't going to make it. All right, that's just the odds playing right there. So it's not about availability. Johnny can show up to every practice he wants to. If he ain't able, it ain't going to work out. So after the greatest ability, which is ability, it's the ability to compartmentalize. Athletes are tremendous at this, and Aaron Rodgers sits there at the apex in terms of no matter what you throw his way, no matter what he says, no matter how much criticism you throw at him, Aaron Rodgers is going to figure out a way for Aaron Rodgers to do Aaron Rodgers. Now, the team atmosphere and aspect is different because Aaron Rodgers last year saw his organization not even give him a courtesy call and draft Jordan Love at his position when he knew he needed some skilled players and said, okay, me and this organization, we're going to go to war. And who won that battle? Aaron Rodgers in individual performance because he was the MVP. But in a team atmosphere, you can't make everybody else play up to an MVP level. You can't make the defense go out there and stop Tom Brady, et cetera. So now Aaron Rodgers is looking around as a leader, trying to inspire the group. I thought last week it was the Detroit Lions, but hey, you got to pick yourself off the floor somehow, some way. It's the Detroit Lions second half. We got 30 minutes of good football for the Packers to look at on film. Now Aaron Rodgers, who always responds and knows how to motivate his guys, is going to come out to California this time, and they're going to respond.
Yeah, no, I'm not so confident in terms of Aaron Rodgers and the mindset and just the overall mentality of the Green Bay Packers. Because remember, the San Francisco 49ers have whooped the Green Bay Packers repeatedly since Kyle Shanahan and Matt LaFleur have had to battle each other on the sideline. In 3 games, this is a team, the 49ers, averaging 10-plus points and 54 more rushing yards than the Packers when they match up. And when you think about a team that is running for 150-plus rushing yards on average each time they square off, yeah, there's a lot of concern about the Green Bay Packers being able to slow down the San Francisco 49ers. How does that matter to Aaron Rodgers? Well, now it puts more pressure on Aaron Rodgers to have to shoulder the load on offense, meaning he now has to face the chief of the defense. He has to throw the ball all over the yard. He is now having to depend on Devontae Adams and the rest of that wide receiver core to make plays because now they need more plays to be made to stay in the game. And even though we can brush off what took place against the Detroit Lions, remember, this was a game that was 21-17 in the late stages of the third quarter before it kind of got away from the Lions. I'm not going to sit here and act like the Green Bay Packers fixed all their woes with their performance on Monday night. Yes, they got a win, but this offense doesn't look the same. It doesn't look like they're clicking and gelled and fully connected. And the quarterback doesn't look fully engaged if he's in peak condition. So as you guys talk about Ezekiel Elliott and all this other stuff, Aaron Rodgers is not playing like the MVP that showed up last year. So I am concerned that he's not just going to flip the switch and be the MVP all over again, particularly against this Niners team.
Oh, Bucky, I was with you there. I was with you with where the Green Bay Packers are and that they're not looking good. And then you kind of put that on Aaron Rodgers and what he is or isn't doing here. And look, we've seen Aaron Rodgers not play well at times, But the idea that he's distracted or that he's not focused or that he's not committed to the team, I can't extrapolate that from what I've seen to this point, whether it's him talking in press conference. I mean, honestly, the fact that he took exception to anyone questioning his commitment, not just to the game, but to the team. And he did it on several platforms. He did it on Tuesday, he did it Wednesday. That's someone who is very prideful. And I can't look at what he has done and isolate what he has done and say, boy, this is where the Green Bay Packers have fallen down. Not with some of the throws that he did make against the Lions. I see a lot of issues with the Green Bay Packers, but to somehow flip that into it's Aaron Rodgers' attitude or mindset that has created that, I just can't go that far.
That's okay, Rick. I'll do it because loving eyes can never see. So I'll be the bad guy, and I know that Aaron Rodgers might have been directing some of those comments to me when he was watching whatever kids movie he was watching, when he was talking about trolls and all that other stuff. Well, I'll be the troll up under the bridge because what I'm gonna say is, look, Aaron Rodgers is not playing at the same level that we expect him to play when he's an MVP. Based on all the conversation that we had throughout the offseason, look, when you put that kind of pressure on yourself, talking about the organization and the general manager and all these other things that you're not getting, you don't get a pass when you don't hit the ground running. So no, was the performance that he had on Monday night a D-level performance? It wasn't, but it certainly wasn't an A-level performance. And if he doesn't deliver A-level performances, we are going to criticize him because he was the biggest story of the offseason. And if he is not playing well, then he has opened himself up to be criticized as maybe he wasn't working, maybe he was distracted doing all the other stuff as opposed to going to work. So no, I'm not going to let him off the hook because the Packers haven't played well. And I'm a former Packer. I want to see him play well. But I don't know if that level of performance that we've seen from the Packers the first 2 weeks is going to be good enough to deal with the San Francisco 49ers based on the way the 49ers have issued out beatdowns year after year against the Packers.
Wow, Bucky, you are pouring it on thick. Yes, you are. Too thick for my liking. You can't turn this on Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers is trying to turn it on the critics and turn it on his organization. And I'm with you, Aaron Rodgers, in pulling that rope in terms of how they treated you. I thought that was unfair based on your stature in that organization. If Carson Wentz gets a phone call, hey, Carson, you okay? You icing your body? I know you're going to get hurt. We're going to draft Jalen Hurts. If they can do that courtesy call for Carson Wentz, you can't call Aaron Rodgers and tell him, hey, this Jordan Love kid looks pretty good. He could succeed you once you're gone. No courtesy call. Bucky Brooks, you got up here talking about, I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is looking like the MVP of old and clicking. The dude threw 4 touchdown passes and only 5 interceptions in an NFL football game. And you saying he's not clicking? He had 145.6 passer rating. You got to go to week 4 of last year, an MVP year, to even see numbers like that. He did that in week 2, homeboy. So now, Bucky, y'all gonna let Tupac out. Rest in peace, Pac. Because that's who Aaron Rodgers is right now. Aaron Rodgers, Me Against the World. Remember that album? That was his best album, actually. Me Against the World, Pac, right? In jail, in prison. Hey, Me Against the World last year, because, hey, my own organization doesn't love me. They ain't got no love for me. But now, Bucky, you and the critics or the trolls, whatever Aaron Rodgers is trying to call y'all, is now going to turn this into some California love. You know when Pac got out of prison, got with Death Row, California Love first song, he coming to San Francisco, California Love, and he going to show you right where he from that y'all better stop messing with this MVP. Bucky, I need to hear something more than this hate for Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, okay, my bad. So I'm supposed to get excited about his 4 touchdown passes like I got excited about Jameis' 5 the week before. So I get it. The touchdown passes mean everything is good. And if you have multiple touchdown passes, your game is good and is above reproach. So I won't criticize Aaron Rodgers because he had 4 touchdown passes in the game, which is one less than Jameis had in week 1 against the same Packers when Aaron Rodgers played like boo-boo. But that is okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to focus on the Packers defense and Joe Barry and all that other stuff because I can't criticize Aaron Rodgers because evidently he has a Lifetime Achievement Award that shields him from being criticized when he doesn't play well and it's not up to the standard in Titletown. So I'll talk about Joe Barry and how this defense has been not up to standard.
Yeah.
And so if this defense doesn't figure out a way to stop the running game, then Aaron Rodgers is going to have to throw the ball 40-plus times. And based on the way this offense has looked, if Aaron is having to throw the ball 40-plus times, it is not going to be a great day for the Green Bay Packers. And so I'll go back under my bridge. I'll sit here up under the bridge like the troll and just be the mean old troll that I must be.
Okay.
Bucky, no one's saying that you can't come out from under the bridge and with your little pointy hat and your beard and get upset with Aaron Rodgers not playing up to the caliber that we know that Aaron Rodgers can play up to. I'm not disputing that. But you brought up the team defense, you brought up the personnel, and what did Aaron Rodgers take issue with? The fact that he doesn't have a voice in personnel, or that he doesn't get an opportunity to at least advise or have a voice when it comes to that. So we've got another side of the ball where he's not involved at all, and they're coming up short. And yet the reason that the Packers are where they are is because of Aaron Rodgers' attitude or what he's not delivering. I can't get there. Like, I understand Aaron Rodgers hasn't played, well, the first week certainly didn't play great. Played much better week 2. But if we're asking, are we concerned about his mindset because he takes issue with people questioning his commitment to the team, that's not my number one concern when it comes to the Green Bay Packers. It's the other side of the ball, number one, and 2, just their ability overall. Aaron Rodgers and how he's playing or what he's thinking is probably 3rd or 4th on that list at best.
Okay, that's cool. So Aaron Rodgers, the general manager, got Randall Cobb. And so I'm looking at Randall Cobb's stats. He's 4 for 58, no touchdowns. In the last game, he was 3 for 26, 8 yards, or whatever. So probably the reason why he doesn't get to pick players is because the players that he brings over have not been impactful. And so if this is one where it's good on trust and communication, if he picks better players, then they will give him more opportunities to pick other players. Bucky. But right now, I think Brian Gutekunst and those guys are like, I don't know, bruh. I don't know if I can trust you to pick the people. I might need to wait and see if you can pick somebody else before I give you more power to pick other. I'm just saying.
Oh, man.
That was a consolation prize to get him into camp and get him playing. That's all that was. That wasn't a definition like Aaron Rodgers going to them saying, the missing piece is Randall Cobb. That wasn't that. He's not talking about that move. He's talking about a half a dozen prior moves being made. And the fact that they don't, look, do I believe that teams should do what even their best player asked them to do unilaterally? No, I don't believe that. And I don't believe the Packers are going to do that. But there's a way to massage the situation that the Packers simply have not. Aaron Rodgers has done enough and has enough status that you at least pay him the service, the respect of, hey, this is what we're going to do, and this is why we're going to do it. And if he doesn't like it, okay. But when you just simply ignore your MVP, then I understand why he would be upset. There's a better way to do that. It's not to say that Aaron Rodgers knows who they should have on the team.
Right.
It's simply Aaron Rodgers feels that he should be treated in a different way, and I tend to agree with him.
I'm with you there, Slick. At least make it a priority to involve him in the process of personnel, even though he won't make final decision, obviously. Got to end this with a short story. Bucky reminded me of something. Boy, Bucky, I hope you're not a coach of any little league teams. I hope you leave these kids the future of tomorrow. Leave them alone, because, Bucky, you are the wrong dude. You got to tell these kids the truth and help them understand the path ahead. So I was growing up, I ran track every weekend. LA Jets, best track club in the country, hands down. We used to see this other track club out there. Let's just say they didn't have the fastest runners. I don't want to disparage the team and call them out by name, Pegasus. But the point is they had a lot of slow kids out there, right? And my dad used to call them, he nicknamed them turtles because they were so slow. I mean, like, no disrespect, but they just couldn't run. Anyway, they were out there. So, Bucky, if you were the coach of the Pegasus Turtles, you know what I would hear you tell your kids every single day? Hey, y'all need to focus. You need to work harder. Come on, give me a better attitude. And you know what my daddy would sit there and say to me? Maybe they just slow, Bucky. Maybe they just slow. If you get that story, you get what's going on there in Green Bay. Speaking of big games, Fox Bet Super 6 is giving you one last chance to win $1 million. $1 million? Really? Bears, Browns is one of the matchups. Rick, 77% of America is picking the Browns so far, so who wins and by how many points?
I'm going strong with the Browns. 24-13. I think they're going to blow away the spread. Justin Fields gets his first start, but the Browns defense is not the team or defense that I'd want my rookie quarterback getting his first start against.
Bucky.
That's nice. I'm going to go with the fighting Baker Mayfield. I'm going to go with the Browns. I'm going to go 31-24. They win by 7. Justin Fields is going to have a great game, though, because I think this is his coming out party. Matt Nagy has some tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah, I got the Bears by 2 as well. 28-26, and hopefully Tony Pollard could play because $1 million is more than he makes in the entire year being better than Zeke. I don't know. Enter now and correctly pick the outcomes of 6 NFL games for your last shot to win $1 million of Terry Bradshaw's money. Scan the QR code on the screen, download the app, and play for free. Coming up, Sam Darnold's Panthers still undefeated after last night. But I'll tell you if what's going on in Carolina is real. That's next. Don't speak for yourself.
The Panthers took care of business against the Texans last night and are a perfect 3-0 for the first time since 2015. Sam Darnold threw for just over 300 yards with 2 TD runs, but it was not all great for Carolina. First-round pick J.C. Horn reportedly has a broken foot, and their superstar Christian McCaffrey left with a hamstring injury, and reports say he's expected to miss a few weeks. So, I have to ask Marcellus at this point, are Sam Darnold's Panthers for real?
Oh, yeah, they're for real. And their schedule is going to make them look even realer. Have y'all looked at the Panthers' schedule? Let's just get it started. Goodness, because you get judged by a relative experience in sports. Not how great you are, but how great you are versus someone else. And versus the teams that the Carolina Panthers going to face, I'm looking at a team that may be 12-5. Because I didn't expect them to be 3-0, so let's just start there. They already got 3 chalked up. They're in one of the worst divisions in the NFL, despite having the best team in that division in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But if you look at their schedule, at Cowboys, Eagles, Vikings, Giants, Falcons. What is going on? Patriots with Mac Jones, who's throwing the ball exactly the length of his nose right now. Now it gets a little scary because we used to always do this. I hate to tell y'all, I hate to bust your bubble, but when y'all get the schedule, fans, we got the schedule too as players. And we used to sit there with a piece of paper and start Xing out teams and circling teams. And right now, if I'm a Panther, I'm circling some teams. After the Cardinals, which is going to be an L, Washington, really? Dolphins, we get a bye week. Falcons, Bills, Buccaneers. Okay, we're going to take the Mills. Saints and Buccaneers. All right, I look at a team that right now on paper has to feel good about itself. But now let's look on the field. Because what's really the glaring issue with this team is really the health of C-Mac. Because it's been a tale of 2 different C-Macs in his career so far. First 3 seasons, never missed a game. Mr. Durable. But then 2020 occurs. Missed 13 games, 4 for the thigh, 3 for the shoulder, 6 for the ankle. Okay, come back this year, looks good, looks good. Most touches by anybody at the position. And then now we got the hamstring. So Sam Darnold obviously has to shoulder more of the load as the franchise quarterback. But without C-Mac, I still look at this schedule and say next man up, and this still may be a 12-win team.
Yeah, Marcellus, I understand the schedule is super soft. They really, until you get to week 9 and 10, when you face the Patriots and the Cardinals back-to-back, I believe that's when we're really going to find out who and what they are. I've been massively impressed by the Panthers' defense. But to answer the question, no, I don't see them as being for real because they are Sam Darnold's Panthers now. Man. And I'm not a believer, in spite of what the numbers might say, in Sam Darnold. And neither is Troy Aikman. I was interested and fascinated by how he talked about Sam's performance in the game. He tried to be subtle about it, but he made it very clear that he questioned his decision-making and his ability to see the field. And that's against the Houston Texans. So if he's not going to do it there, it's the same issues that he was having prior to getting to Carolina. There's also just his lack of pocket awareness. He had 2 fumbles last night simply because he doesn't have a sense of where the pressure is or where it's coming from. So when I put all of that together with the loss of Horn, who, in spite of being a rookie, was playing magnificently and having a huge impact on that team, and I take McCaffrey out of the equation and how they looked once he was out. Yes, it was the Texans. They wore them down, but McCaffrey to me is a game changer.
Yeah.
I cannot ride on Sam Darnold, even with a schedule as potentially soft as it is.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's going to be tough for the Carolina Panthers to continue to do it, but I'm a believer in them. I believe their defense is real, and defense will carry you a long way, particularly against the schedule that they have. When you look at the defense and the way that it was constructed, remember, a year ago, Matt Rule used every draft pick on defensive personnel. That defensive personnel right now is flourishing. You look at Derrick Brown on the interior, you look at Brian Burns, Jeremy Chin, you have a holdover veteran in Shaq Thompson. This defense is as fast as any defense that you'll see. And the reason why they're winning is really because of the defense. They're not winning because of Sam Darnold. They're winning in spite of Sam Darnold being there because he's still loose and careless with the football. That said, Joe Brady and the offensive staff have done a really good job of making the game easier for Sam Darnold. We're seeing him. Look, he hasn't had back-to-back 300-yard games in his career. We're seeing him play at a level that we haven't seen him. He will continue to trend upward as he gains more confidence and understands that he doesn't have to play hero ball because the defense is good enough to keep the score down. So, yes, even without Christian McCaffrey and Sam Darnold working through the issues that he had previously with the Jets, I'm a believer in this Panthers team. Their defense is real, and that will give them a chance to win a ton of games.
I don't know. I'm not loving this lukewarm praise y'all giving out. Like, y'all like, all right, they look good, but everything you're saying has a but statement. And I'm looking at a team that is 10th in scoring and number 1 on defense, and I'm like, but what? And we're going against not the greatest of schedules. So I don't know where the but statement comes from. Sometimes you got to understand about momentum and the Uncle Mo. We all know who Uncle Mo is, right? During the game, Uncle Mo, wherever he is, that team has a little more juice, a little more power. They exceed their grasp just because Uncle Mo is with them, the 12th man, as we want to say. So let's talk about Uncle Mo, because we always talk about him in the context of within the game, intra-game. He's on your sideline, he's on your sideline. But what about in a season? I was on a team that had Uncle Mo for a while. I was on an 0-3 team with Rob Johnson at the quarterback position. He gets knocked out, and Doug Flutie is inserted. Most people at the time were saying Rob Johnson's a better quarterback than Doug Flutie. However, Uncle Mo came with Doug Flutie, and we went out there and won 10 of the last 13 games. Uncle Mo is on the Carolina Panthers right now for whatever reason. Christian McCaffrey got hurt and still has the most scrimmage yards by any running back in the game. After injury still. You look at this situation with them and their defense, yeah, you lose Horn. We obviously know that's going to hurt. But you still got Shaq Thompson out there balling out of control. Hassan Reddick leads the team, 4.5 sacks already. You got guys out there, and I don't want to say next man up because there is a reason why someone's the starter. But I look at this team like they got some missing ingredient or something we haven't put our finger on just yet that is making them play together in a tight fist. And with this schedule, with Uncle Mo, I could see this team going out there and doing something.
See, we should have started with what are we defining as for real? Because I agree with you with that defense and Matt Rule coming in, and there's a vibe about this team that feels like, hey, we got a little something here. I agree with all of that. But I'm going to slow down on the fact that they played the Jets and the Texans and a Saints team that clearly wasn't ready, and that's why they're ranked the way they are. Again, they're probably not going to see that much great competition coming forward. But if we're talking about for real being like a team that could win a playoff game, whoo, that's where I got to stop short. And again, it's largely because of Sam Darnold. I just look at what he is, and if you prep for him, Bucky made the point. Like, he's going back to USC, he's been a turnover machine.
Facts.
And for all of the numbers going in the right direction, he's still a turnover machine. And you guys know how much that can undercut a team, particularly a team that has any hope of postseason aspirations in doing anything. So are they going to have a great record? Could they be a wild card team? Yeah, I'll put them there. But is that for real, or is that a team that has a little mojo and is taking advantage of a soft schedule?
Look, man, I agree with you, Rick. Now, I worry about Sam Darnold because he is a bit of a double agent. He plays for the Panthers and he plays for the other team for some of those careless decisions. That's it. He has improved significantly since the last time we saw him with the Jets. A lot of that is due to coaching. And as Joe Brady becomes more comfortable with the things that Sam Darnold can do, they can mask some of those deficiencies as they continue to move forward. As long as the defense remains the stabilizing force, consistent, keeping scores down, doing a great job of getting sacks and forcing turnovers, they are going to be in the mix. But at some point, you're right, Sam Darnold is going to have to make plays. I'm banking on the Panthers not needing Sam Darnold to make plays until the last part of the season where he might be more comfortable and ready to go from caretaker to playmaker for this offense.
You know what? I just saw the blind spot that happens in media so often, and making the transition from being on the field to hosting shows. You get to see that because you're living in both worlds. I notice in the media that when we talk about players, even talk about teams, we project what they're going to look like based on their history. And to most people, that sounds like common sense. But what we don't do is put an insert in that actual team or that actual player is improving in the moment. So what happens is you use Sam Darnold at SC, or we use Sam Darnold with the Jets, and then we don't really buy into what we're seeing right now because of the opponents, and they're not that good. And then we just project forward based on what we've seen before. But now let's add this missing element. Sam Darnold's better, y'all. Like, say what you want, he's better in this situation, this system. This is why they say the grass can be greener or a breath of fresh air is needed, because that's not the same Sam Darnold that I used to see at SC. Now, that guy was a turnover machine, but the highs obviously equalized the lows. Then you saw with the Jets, the bottom just fell out. We know why. But this situation is just different. So let's just hope that Uncle Mo and an improved Sam Darnold can cover up some of the issues without C-Mac. And then we'll look at this team as a for-real team, because you know why, Slick? Only teams to be scared of in the NFC are the NFC West, all of them, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as of now. Dallas Cowboys flirting with it, but the rest of these teams are sitting there ready to be got. Carolina, go get them.
Oh, no, the Cowboys. And also, Marcel, I learned there's a reason why people start. So that's why Ezekiel Elliott will continue to start in Dallas. You told me that there's a reason why guys start. So I just wanted to make sure that I acknowledge that. They helped me with my Ezekiel Elliott argument.
Okay. You got me right there. I ain't got nothing to say right now.
Brave man.
Making yearly salaries every week and getting outperformed. Coming up, Bill Belichick was called out by Tom Brady's trainer. Oh, smoke. We'll tell you if the criticism was fair or foul. Next on Speak for Yourself. Bucky, you caught me there. We have to wait a little over a week for Tom Brady versus Bill Belichick in New England. But drama's already started. Y'all know it's cooking. Brady's dad called Belichick out earlier this week. Papa Brady? Now his trainer, Alex Guerrero, took shots over the Belichick-Brady dynamic when they were together, saying, quote, "It was like Bill never really ... I think his emotions or feelings never evolved with age." Damn. As Tom got into his late 30s or early 40s, I think Bill was still trying to treat him like that 20-year-old kid that he drafted. That was such a Bill thing. He never evolved. So you can't treat someone who's in his 40s like they're 20. It doesn't work. Damn. Got to bring in co-host of The Herd, Joy Taylor, in the building. But Slick, is Tom Brady's trainer criticizing Bill Belichick fair or foul?
This is foul, Marcellus and Joy. This is milk left out in the hot sun foul. This is my son's post-game football gear foul.
Yeah.
What is Alex doing? Why is he speaking on two other men's relationship? Yes, okay, so shots fired, fine. Talk about your relationship. Talk about where you were in relation to Bill Belichick. Don't talk about Bill and Tom Brady and then have this overarching take on who Bill has been and how he's treated Tom Brady over the years. I dare say that Alex was not there for all of it and certainly wasn't in the room or around the team or in every discussion that Bill and Tom had. And the clearest indication that Alex is way out of bounds on this is how Tom Brady has responded to it. He has tried to walk this careful line and explain why Alex would say the things that he said, not rubber stamping it, not confirming it, not doing any of that, expressing his appreciation. Tom said all that he needed to say about where he was and where his relationship was with Bill in his decision to go to Tampa Bay and continue to play. Any more that needs to be said about that relationship and what did or didn't work, then Tom Brady has the wherewithal to say it. To have Alex jump in and give his take, his overarching take on that relationship and how Bill Belichick hasn't evolved, simply isn't his place, and nor does he have the standing or the stature to make that, nor the experience, nor the total information. So the only thing that he's doing is creating a problem for Tom Brady. Beyond that, he's not accomplishing anything.
Damn, Slick, you went in on him. I was a little more conflicted than you, but after listening to you and myself earlier in
I'm a little heated. Marcellus.
I'm with you. It's pretty foul, man. It's really foul. Oh, he did what I hate when people do, which is bridge hop. That means you don't know the relationship or respect it to the fullest of how you even in this conversation in the first place. Alex Guerrero, who was introduced to the Patriots by Willie McGinnis, and then all of a sudden all the players started to take to him, and he has a company with Tom Brady. I got that. But Alex Guerrero, remind yourself, homeboy, people only talk about you because they talk about me. And now you done hopped over me to get to Bill Belichick to speak your truth. Now, I was conflicted because no matter where you go, you should be allowed to speak your truth. But you got a company with me? You are now associated with me and my brand, and I have to come out and try to clean up what you're doing by talking about gratitude instead of just going out there and playing football. You're bringing issues to me. Now, Alex Guerrero knows he's in the wrong even if he's speaking his truth, just because you know from any relationship that the person that is coming to you, my sister calls him a runner. They only run to you when they have something to say that the other person did wrong. They never run to you when they were in the wrong. That's part one. But also, they never run to you when everything is smooth, when everything is on the high. You never get that call and got to stay up all night. All right, yeah, girl, he ain't. Yep, I know. You never get that when everything's rosy, right? So, Alex, you're working with limited information at the most. And then you're going to use your boy as a bridge to hop over to get to Belichick just to speak your piece. Too much for me, too foul for me.
Oh, this is totally fair, guys. There's so much to unpack here, but it's fair to me.
Come on.
First of all, I'm glad you brought up Willie. Shout out to OG.
Yes, sir.
2004, that was a long time ago. Guess what I was doing in 2004? Graduating high school. So that was a long time ago. He's been around Brady and that team for a very long time. So he knows a thing or two about that organization. I would argue that Alex Guerrero, outside of Giselle, is probably the closest person to Tom Brady. He's his trainer. He's with him every day. We give him a lot of credit. Obviously, Brady has to do the work, but he gets a lot of credit for this longevity that Brady has had, which has led him to become the greatest quarterback of all time, and depending on what your preference of player is, the greatest player in the history of the NFL. So he knows. He's there. He's in the building. He's with Brady every single day. He knows what happened there. And more importantly, he's not wrong. Because where is Tom Brady? Tampa Bay. So if he was telling a lie, he'd still be with the Patriots. Or at least we could assume that he's lying if he was still there. This is the reason Brady left. We watched Tom versus Time. We heard Giselle talk about how he's not appreciated in the building. We've seen how Belichick interacted and talked about Tom Brady. He's right. Now, this doesn't take away from Belichick's greatness. This doesn't dent his legacy or the dynasty. What's done is done. It's in the books. It has been written. So it's not a ding on Belichick that he didn't evolve with Tom Brady to this point, or that he wouldn't bend on how he treated Brady. Now, that depends on how you're looking at this divorce, but the dynasty in New England is done. Like, that happened. The Brady-Belichick dynasty, that's over. Nothing that is going to come out outside of a cheating scandal is going to change how we feel about what happened there, right? So Belichick deserves credit. Brady deserves credit. Brady's currently winning the divorce. But Alex Guerrero saying he didn't evolve is not a lie. Where is the lie? Well, Brady would be there if he was lying, and he's not lying. So how is it foul?
Whew. So
Let's go.
I'm glad you brought up the dynasty, Joy, because however Bill Belichick treated Tom Brady over all those years, it was successful. Like, looking at it and saying he didn't evolve and their personal relationship should have gone somewhere. Bill Belichick is the head coach of the New England Patriots. What he cares about is, how do I get this team to another Super Bowl? And what Alex is missing is the fact that how he treats Tom Brady also informs how everybody else on the team sees that dynamic and how they respond. I saw the same thing with Greg Popovich and Tim Duncan, or Manu Ginobili or Tony Parker, his best players. But let's stay with Tim Duncan, since he's the closest I can give you in terms of what Tom Brady has accomplished. He held Tim Duncan to standards. He treated him at times like you would think, wait a minute, that's how you treat the 12th man on the team. And what it did was it held everybody else accountable, because it was, if Bill's going to, or Pop is going to treat his star player like that, well, then it doesn't leave any room for anybody else to do anything else but respond. And Tom responded in kind, and so did the entire team. So ultimately, Alex sitting back and getting all Dr. Phil on us and saying, you know what, their personal relationship should have gone to another level. They should have been able to communicate in a different way. They should have been able to vacation together. I'm like, that's not Bill Belichick's job. Bill Belichick's job is to get the most out of his team and the most out of Tom Brady. And I dare say that he did that for an amazing number of years with a changing group of personnel around Tom Brady. So it was successful. And the fact that the Patriots got to a place where Tom Brady took off, but also the Patriots were ready to move on too. I mean, we were seeing that. I can't help but feel like some of this is a little bit like Aaron Rodgers and wanting to leave the Green Bay Packers, because he's at that point where they're ready to move on, and he's feeling some kind of way about it.
Yeah, but Tom Brady just won a championship, so.
Oh, so he exempt? Would
No,
you just
but
exempt?
I'm saying, like, if there's something to discover
He wouldn't have won that in
here,
New England.
He wouldn't have won in New England, which is why he left. So you're right. It is.
Okay.
It was
But
a
that's-
success.
but that's not because of Bill.
But just because it was a success doesn't mean that's what's going to continue to make you successful. Because what made Tom Brady successful was when he was a sixth-round, 20-year-old kid, and that worked. But when he's got 5 championships, you can't talk to him the same, because he ain't the same person. You're not talking to the same person. So what worked for you then isn't going to work for you now. And as far as Belichick as a coach, it's his job to win championships, and he's not doing that right now. But Tom Brady is doing that right now. He just did it, and they're favored to do it again. They brought everybody back. So the idea that you can't evolve, you can't tweak how you do things if you're a great coach is silly. John Wooden did it. When you get an all-timer, John Wooden did it. Jimmy Johnson, I treat everyone the same, different. Nick Saban, he doesn't coach the same. It was all about defense. Now he has 3 quarterbacks in the NFL starting. You have to evolve a little bit. And now have to is probably not the wrong word. He doesn't have to do anything, but he can sit there and develop with Mac Jones while Tom Brady's winning championships. It doesn't have anything to do with the dynasty and what they accomplished. It doesn't take away from their success. But Tom Brady left because Bill Belichick and him could not get to a place where they needed to be, with Tom having 5 championships and being the GOAT, and Bill Belichick and his system. If you can't budge, I got to go. And I left and won a championship.
Sure.
So now I get to write the story for the time being, because I'm the one with the ring.
Damn.
Okay, so here's my pushback. Number one, we're assuming, based on what Alex said, that relationship never evolved from day one to the time that Tom decided to leave. And 2, that Tom staying would have changed the dynamic of the New England Patriots. Like sometimes it's just time to part ways. This relationship has gone as far as it's gone, and we've done as much as we can do together, and it's ready for us to step off. And that doesn't necessarily mean that anybody's at fault. It just means it was time. And I believe that's ultimately where the New England Patriots and Bill and Tom were.
Yeah, man, it's hard to believe that their relationship didn't evolve. Like, just from my vantage point, because on the field, the relationship certainly evolved. So you try to tell me off the field, it didn't evolve? Really? I don't know. The same coach that saw you in your first Super Bowl appearance throw for 145 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and 80 passer rating throughout the entire run to his championship didn't evolve. But he allowed you the keys to the franchise, allowed you the keys to the passing opportunities, but he didn't give you the personality keys. It's hard to believe because it's a little chicken and egg. Let's go here, Joey. Let's go here, Slick. In relationships that people don't think are so positive, I don't even want to go abusive, just not as positive as they should be. There's always this conversation of what they did versus what you allowed them to do. And one thing I did notice about Tom Brady once he left New England and went to Tampa, all of a sudden, he turned into a new dude. Like, he got brand new, which lets me know that maybe you were suppressing a little more than Bill Belichick asked you to suppress. You know, like Bill Belichick didn't tell you to shut up. You just were sitting there quiet. That's a little bit on you, Tom Brady. What Fat Joe always say? Yesterday's price ain't today's price. I understand that because Bill Belichick is treating the dude like he still picked 199, and he looking at a Belichick like, dog, I am not that dude. But who should tell Belichick that? It should be Tom Brady, through interview, through private conversation, not my trainer. My trainer should talk about dumbbells, not dynasties. If you're talking about dumbbells, we got a conversation, Alex. But if you're trying to go backwards 20 years and try to now dig up what we used to go through, bro, you don't even know what it is. Slick, this is my last point. You said some foul things. I want to just add to that. You ever been in a hockey locker room? That's pretty foul. That stinks.
I almost went there.
What about this? After PE and you had 5th period and then lunch. You ever been there? I was there in junior high, I stank. Debo's draws on Friday, they ain't smell good. My son hid some food under the couch last week we just found. Guess what? We found it with some maggots. Coming up, there's been a lot of talk about Aaron Rodgers, but I'll tell you if we're sleeping on the 2-0 49ers. That's why we're moving. That's next. Don't speak for yourself. Well, I knew we were going to eat on that one.
2 of the top dogs in the NFC will square off when the Packers go on the road to face the 2-0 49ers Sunday night. Rodgers is coming off a 4 TD performance, and Niners star Nick Bosa says their goal is to make the reigning MVP uncomfortable. Bosa's squad is in the top 10 in scoring defense. So, Marcellus, are we sleeping on the 2-0 49ers?
No, we're not sleeping on them. If you mean like national attention and everybody's at a fever pitch thinking about this team and really their chances to contend, no, we're not sleeping. I think we're battered, like battered syndrome. Like we're tired of just feeling this team and believing in this team, and they just keep poking at us with different issues. All right, so Jimmy G's healthy. They go to the Super Bowl and they lose, even though they had the number 2 defense, great special teams, and Jimmy G misses 1 throw, but y'all give up 10-plus points in the 4th quarter. Whatever. All right, next year, all right, it's going to be our year. We're going to finish the deal. Jimmy G gets hurt, but everybody else gets hurt. And then in the offseason of that year, instead of everybody getting replaced, Jimmy G's going to get replaced. You're like, what the hell? Jimmy G wasn't the only one hurt. Why are y'all picking at Jimmy G? He's the only reason, in part, that you went to the Super Bowl. Okay, that's fine. Now, all of a sudden, one play Trey Lance is in the building. One play Trey here. Okay, week 1, we see Trey Lance out there. Oh, look at this package. Oh, exciting. Exclamation point on the 49ers. Then week 2, we excited, and where's one play Trey? He didn't even get his one play. He on the sideline. We're like, dog, let us know. This is what my therapist always says when I come in there all hot and got all these issues. And about 10 minutes in, he like, let's start over again. What do you want? And I'm asking the 49ers, what do you want? Because I'm not jumping on this wagon until I know the direction right now. And I see this bad 49ers rush defense, only 1 takeaway, 25th in red zone defense. I'm like, I thought y'all were a great defense. What do y'all want? Because you're not going to see me jump on your wagon until I know where you're going.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you, Marcellus. We're not sleeping on them, largely because, I mean, aside from not knowing who their quarterback is going to be ultimately at the end of the year and whether they can make good on what they were supposed to be a year ago, I look at the division that they're in. Oh. I mean, when we say, are we sleeping on them, are they going to have a meaningful season? I don't even know if they get out of the division because of what the Rams and the Cardinals and the Seahawks are capable of doing. So being 2-0 right now, with the Rams being 2-0 as well, says absolutely nothing to me in terms of what the 49ers are capable of being and where they're going to go. And I will say, you're putting this as if Jimmy Garoppolo somehow questioning his ability to be part of where they want to go is completely unfounded. I mean, Jimmy continues to give us some evidence of that. Yes, Trey Lance didn't play at all last week. And Jimmy G was aight, but not overwhelming in terms of where I would expect him to be now that he is healthy. So I only, in watching that game, was like, yeah, this is kind of why they got Trey Lance. And my question is, at what point are they going to turn the page to Trey Lance? Not convinced that necessarily Trey Lance is the answer, but certainly convinced that Kyle Shanahan still believes Trey Lance is the answer and that Jimmy G is not giving him any certifiable evidence to change his mind.
I don't think we're sleeping on them. I think we're woke about the Niners now, actually. I think we're wide awake, to your point, Sel. We've been through enough with this team that we just know we should just wait and see what it is. My therapist always asks me at the beginning of our sessions, she says, how are we feeling? Right. Well, the Niners are feeling injured, just like they were last year. And are we feeling confident about Jimmy G making it through this entire season without being injured? I mean, we all hope so, obviously, but the evidence throughout his career would point that he's going to miss a game at some point as well. You bring up the division, it's impossible. So I have the Niners as a playoff team. If they finish last in the division, I wouldn't be surprised. If they won the division, I wouldn't be surprised. We just don't know what to make of really any of these teams. We all know they're good. We all know they're contenders. We all know they're capable. Honestly, what really might come down to at the end of the season for this division is who ends up being the healthiest. And right now, the 49ers have a lot of injuries. If Elijah Mitchell and Trey Sermon, they might not play Sunday. Hurd is on IR. Kinlaw is limited. Greenlaw's out indefinitely. Mosley might play this weekend. You got Raheem Mostert. What are we supposed to do? Now, that's no one's fault, obviously, and there's a lot of injuries around the league. We saw 2 more injuries last night. McCaffrey's out for a couple weeks now. You lost J.C. Horn. So, you can't blame anyone for this, but there's just, Sal, to your point, there's just a lot going on. It's a lot going on. I just need to just be a little patient with the Niners. I think they're contenders. We know what Shanahan is. We know that they can make it to the Super Bowl. Will they? I mean, this game, this weekend, is a very important game for both of these franchises.
And the Packers are in town, so a lot more may be going on. Uh-oh. Coming up, Jameis Winston has been a little Jekyll and Hyde this season, you say? I'll tell you which version I expect to see against the Patriots next on
Am I missing out on this?
Jameis Winston had his ups and downs this season. Threw 5 touchdown passes in week 1. Okay. He'll follow that up with the worst passer rating of his career in week 2. Damn. Next up is a road game against Bill Belichick and the Patriots. But Jameis sounds ready, saying, quote, we know how to win and we're resilient. That's right. So, Slick, which version of Jameis will we see versus Bill's Patriots?
So, I'm expecting to see week 1 Jameis. In Jameis, we trust. Now, I know the Panthers game was not good, but the Saints collectively were not good. First possession, they got 2 false starts, a sack, offensive line never got it together. Defensively, Panthers absolutely shredded them in scoring. Down 17-0 on the road with as loud as Carolina's stadium got. It was a recipe for disaster. And we got to see Jameis press. And as we know, when Jameis presses, it is not good. I would expect that the Saints collectively will be better this week. He doesn't, he's played against the Patriots once before, was not bamboozled by Belichick. I'm going to trust that the Saints and Jameis are going to get back on the week 1 page.
Week 1? I don't know about that. I think it'll be somewhere in the middle. They're not going to be as bad as they were, but they're not going to be as good as they were in Week 1 because we know the Patriots' defense is great. Now, look, they're a well-coached team, but I didn't have a whole lot of expectations for them. They are in sort of a rebuild mode. And right now, they've got a lot going on. They haven't been home. They've been living in hotels. They've got a lot of guys injured. They have a lot of coaches that are in COVID protocol still. So there's just a lot of stuff going on around the Saints in general. So I wouldn't necessarily put this on Jameis specifically. I don't think he's going to be as bad as he was last week. But to say that he's going to have the performance he did Week 1 is a bit of a stretch. It's a little disrespectful to the Patriots to say that he's going to be that good. Collectively, they're up against it. But I think Jameis will even out a little bit this week.
I think Jameis is going to have a horrible game, and I'm just going to say it. Look, media loves to talk about, players. Is that a distraction? You know it's a distraction when you're living in a hotel room for a month. You know it's a distraction when you don't know where your next meal's coming from. Is it Uber Eats again, or are we going down to the vending machine? Like, this is just a problem. This is not the NFL experience during the season. You know why players hate training camp? It ain't the football. It's the fact that we living in a dorm room or we living in some hotel. We like, dog, this is the worst. And that's how they got to prepare. Look, it's up and down for Jameis because he's been addicted to inconsistency and addicted to turning the ball over. So when you're trying to lose weight, like I was last year, it's a roller coaster, right? Lose a couple, gain a couple. When you're trying to get off the binge, okay, no more alcohol. Yeah, all right, fool, you're going to drink again, but it's up, it's down. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Right now, he going against the greatest defensive mind ever, and y'all acting like he's just going to recover to 5 more touchdowns? Oh, no. You about to pound one. Coming up, Sam Darnold's Panthers are the only 3-0 team in the league. Drink. Pass me one. But I'll tell you which undefeated team is the biggest surprise next on Speak for Yourself. 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, and a loss.
The Panthers are a perfect 3-0 after last night's win over the Texans. But the Raiders, Broncos, Bucs, 49ers, Rams, and Cardinals are also undefeated. Altogether, 5 of the 7 undefeated teams in the league did not make the playoffs last season. So, Marcellus.
Yes, sir.
Who is the biggest surprise undefeated team?
Oh, the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to win this one. This is easy. Now, we're going to get up here and probably hear some other teams, and they just trying to make conversation and fill up this segment. But it's the Carolina Panthers. Did any of us have them undefeated after 3 games? Despite looking at that schedule, did we have them there with Sam Darnold at quarterback? Did we have them having the #1 defense in the NFL after 3 weeks? No. Surprise, surprise. So they have now lost C-Mac for most of that game last night and still come out with a victory, still undefeated. This is a surprise undefeated team. But I'm listening because I know y'all going to have to make up something.
It's the Raiders. They have more impressive wins, and I think they're going to win again this weekend. My lowly Dolphins going through everything they're going through. No, the Raiders look good. I'm very impressed with the Raiders. Both of the Raiders wins. They beat good teams. They did it impressively. Now, and they're generating a pass rush, which we weren't expecting either. I'm not taking anything away. I don't know necessarily this block is a competition, Marcellus. I don't disagree that it's not impressive that the Carolina Panthers are playing the way that they are. Now, we'll see how they play moving forward without Christian McCaffrey. But regardless, it's in the books and they won. I just think the Raiders have been the most impressive so far.
I knew at some point Joy and I would agree on something, and this is it. It is the Raiders, without question. Come on, Marcellus, don't try to walk away with some victory. Just presumably give your take and then go, I don't even know. I don't even need to listen to what they've got to say because I know I'm right. The Raiders beating the Ravens in overtime when they lost, and then won the game again is the unlikeliest scenario that we've seen this season so far. And then going to Pittsburgh after that with what we saw from the Steelers in Week 1, it is an absolute shock to me that the Raiders are undefeated at this point. Doesn't mean they're going to be great. They were 2-0 at the beginning of last season. But considering who they've beaten and how they've beaten them, that is the biggest surprise.
Raiders didn't win Week 1. Ravens lost. Week 2, you're playing Pittsburgh. Roethlisberger with his old butt got 1 peck and lost all that weight. Don't even look the same. I don't even know if that's the same Pittsburgh team. Are they even going to make the playoffs? I digress. Coming up, word on the street is LeBron is slimming up. Or slimming down. Which way you supposed to say it? I don't know. I'll tell you if that gives me more or less confidence about his Lakers' chances this season. Next on Speak for Yourself. We on that diet wine now? Oh, let's talk some NBA. LeBron is 36 years young and is about to enter his 19th season in the league. But he's not settling down. Lakers GM Rob Pelinka said LeBron has, quote, slimmed up this offseason and has been very locked in with his training. So, Slick, does a slimmed up LeBron make you more or less confident in the Lakers' chances?
Oh, less confident. You can lose pounds, but you can't lose years. And I thought he was going to move to power forward where he would need more bulk, not less. But if we're going to do comparisons, I've got another one that I'd like to break out because I just think it's more complimentary. This is what I believe in. And that's when it comes to learning how to fall.
Yes.
You know, you need to work with Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
He missed practice this week.
Yes.
You showed up the next day, you were ready to go.
Yes, you need to commit to the fall. Once you know it's going down, make sure the ground doesn't win too. And I did that. Lamar,
look like you're
$100 an hour.
skydiving.
Holla at your boy. Have a great weekend. Fox Bet Live is next. Gotta know how to fall.